Have you ever caught yourself craving a place where you can actually breathe again? Not the kind of place you visit for a few days and then rush back to your old routine. I mean somewhere that the moment you arrive, life just slows down on its own. A place where you can finally loosen the weight on your shoulders, take a deep breath in the morning air, and move through your day without feeling chased. Somewhere you can live slowly enough to notice the small moments. And maybe more importantly, somewhere you don't feel like your health and your peace of mind are being quietly worn down day after day. A lot of people watching this channel, especially those of us who have lived long enough to know what really matters, are not looking for something flashy anymore. We're not chasing glitter. What we want is stability. We want that steady feeling of safety. We want a long-term plan we can walk through step by step without being pushed into rushed decisions. And that's exactly why Europe on Sale exists. This channel is not about houses that only look good in advertisements, and it's definitely not about selling a perfect dream with an impossible price tag. We focus on properties where the information is clear, the data is transparent, and most importantly, the price is within reach. In today's video, we're going to walk through 2 apartments in the Piemonte region in northern Italy, both priced at around 20,000 euros. That number still sounds hard to believe when you compare it to the wider market, especially in the bigger provinces nearby. And yet, they are real options, real spaces you can actually consider. So take your time while watching. There's no pressure here. No one is asking you to decide anything today. Think of this as a quiet exploration, a chance to see another way of living, and gently ask yourself whether it might fit your story. And with that, let's begin. Some places are not inexpensive because they are bad. They are inexpensive because they sit inside a rhythm of life that most modern people have simply forgotten how to enjoy. Pessinetto is a small town in the Piemonte region, surrounded by the mountains and forests of the Lanzo valleys. Life here feels quiet. It feels green. The roads are not rushing anywhere. It is the kind of place where, on a weekend, you just step outside, take a breath, and without trying, you slow down. And in that setting, there is an apartment listed at a price that makes you look twice, 20,000 euros. It is a bilocale, which means a simple 2-room layout, around 45 square meters in size, with 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. The apartment sits on the 2nd floor of a 4-story building, and there is no elevator. The condition is described as good overall. It comes furnished, with a semi-open kitchen and a balcony overlooking a quiet green area. Heating is autonomous, powered by a pellet stove, and one detail that really matters for anyone on a tight budget is that there are no monthly condominium fees. Now, let us talk about the numbers in context. The asking price is 20,000 euros for 45 square meters, which works out to roughly 444 euros per square meter. In comparison, the average asking price in the province of Torino was recorded at around 1,682 euros per square meter in January 2026. When you place those figures side by side, 444 euros per square meter clearly sits in the lower entry range for the broader area. From a pricing perspective, this part of the market stands out. Of course, a 20,000 euro home means nothing if daily life is too inconvenient, but the available data suggests that Pessinetto is not completely cut off from essential services. Within the town itself, there is a local grocery store, Alimentari di Francesca via Margherita on Via Roma. There is also Farmacia Alpina di Rosses, located on the same street. You will find Caffè Stazione in the center as well, also along Via Roma. These are not theoretical conveniences on a map. They are real places you would actually use in daily life. As for financial services, the nearest bank is not directly in Pessinetto, but there are branches in nearby towns. That might sound like a small detail, yet for foreign buyers or for those not living here full-time, knowing exactly where you would handle administrative tasks often matters more than you expect. In terms of connections, the town has the Pessinetto train station on the Torino to Ceres line, also along Via Roma. So if you want to travel toward Torino without driving the entire way, there is a clear public transport option. Torino Casella's airport is referenced at about 27 kilometers away, usually around 30 to 47 minutes of travel depending on the route. The nearest hospital mentioned is Ospedale di Chirie, which becomes particularly important if you are thinking about long-term stays, especially for older residents. Looking at the surrounding area, Pessinetto sits within the Lanzo valleys, known for mountain landscapes, trekking routes, and nearby historic villages. There is also the Santuario di Sant'Ignazio on Monte Bastia, a notable landmark in the region. These are not urban-style amenities, but they are often the reason people choose to buy in places like this. You buy to change your pace of life, not to live next to a shopping center. But this is the point where we need to slow down, because potential risks and hidden costs are what truly determine whether you should move forward. The apartment has an energy performance rating of Class G, which indicates low energy efficiency. In practical terms, that can mean colder walls, drafts, and higher heating costs if you plan to stay through winter. Improving comfort levels may also require additional maintenance or upgrades. At the same time, the technical and legal documentation should not be taken lightly. With lower-priced apartments, discrepancies between floor plans and actual conditions can occur. You would need to carefully verify the legal paperwork and hire a competent lawyer. That comes with its own cost. Overall, this Pessinetto apartment has clear strengths. The entry price is €20,000. There are no condominium fees. It offers a balcony with green views. It comes furnished. There is a train station in town. Daily services such as a grocery store, pharmacy, and cafe are present. And there are bank references in nearby areas. So the final question is not simply whether the pros outweigh the cons. The real question is whether this could be the beginning of your next chapter.
If the first home felt like a quiet escape into the mountains, this second one opens up a completely different setting. Lesa sits on the Piemonte side of Lago Maggiore, one of the largest and most well-known lakes in northern Italy. So now we are not just talking about the calm of a small town, we are talking about location. Close to the lake, close to major transport routes, close to an area with natural tourist appeal. From a lifestyle point of view, and from an investment perspective, convenience becomes much clearer here. That said, this apartment is not right on the lakeside. It is in Calogna, a small hillside frazione that belongs to Lesa, and that creates a different layer of space. It is not as busy as the Lungolago area. It is not directly next to the main road. It sits slightly higher up, where the air is often fresher and the views more open. This kind of position usually attracts people looking for privacy rather than tourist energy. The asking price is again €20,000. The size is around 46 square meters, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. The most noticeable difference is the 2-level layout. The ground floor includes the living area and a corner kitchen. Upstairs, you have the bedroom, the bathroom, and a balcony. The condition is described as needing internal review and improvement, which means you should expect to update the interior. There are no condominium fees. If we look at the numbers, €20,000 divided by 46 square meters comes out to roughly €435 per square meter. When you compare that to the broader Piemonte context, for example, the province of Torino showing an average of around €1,682 per square meter, €435 per square meter clearly remains in the lower range for northern Italy, especially considering the proximity to Lago Maggiore. But what really makes this property worth examining is not just the price, it is the geography. Lesa sits directly along Lago Maggiore. From Calogna, you are only a few minutes by car from the lakeside, and Lago Maggiore is not just a body of water. It is an entire ecosystem of lakeside towns, marinas, cafes, and a summer season that can be lively. Around Lesa, in the Vergante area, there are trekking paths and walking routes, such as the Lesa to Comnago to Calogna to Belgirate, which appeal to those who enjoy hiking or light cycling. In terms of daily services, Lesa is not a place that offers only nature. There is Supermercato Savoini on Via Armando Diaz. There is Farmacia di Lesa on Via Carcano. There is Banco BMP on Via Vittorio Veneto. Lesa also has its own train station on the National Rail Line, connecting the lake area to larger cities. The A26 highway exit at Mena is referenced at about 6 kilometers away. The nearest hospital mentioned is Ospedale Carlo Ondoli in Angera, across the lake. These details show that this is an area with real infrastructure, not an isolated mountain village. Now, this is where we slow down. The listing clearly states that the interior needs to be reviewed, so this is not a move-in tomorrow type of property. Even a small space of 46 square meters can require a meaningful renovation budget if the electrical system is outdated, the plumbing is old, or the finishes are worn. Like the first apartment, this one also carries an energy rating of Class G. That usually means lower efficiency, potentially higher heating costs, and possible insulation upgrades if you intend to live here year-round. Another detail to think about is the external staircase between the two levels. If you are used to internal stairs inside a home, this setup might lead you to consider installing a spiral staircase indoors. It sounds logical, but the moment you start talking about opening floors, altering structure, or connecting levels internally, you enter technical and legal territory. Structural changes can require professional documentation and feasibility checks. Without careful verification from the start, both time and cost can exceed expectations. Overall, this Lesa Calogna apartment feels more like a small project than the one in Pessinetto. It is not simply buying a place to live, it is buying a base near the lake, with a 2-level structure and deciding what kind of living space you want to create. €20,000 is the entry point. The real total depends on how far you are willing to go with renovation. So the question is not whether it is cheap. The question is whether you want to step into a small project near Lago Maggiore, where the weight of the location may matter more than the current interior. or whether you prefer something simpler with fewer changes, like the apartment in Pessinetto.
We have just walked through 2 apartments that share one very obvious detail: the same entry price, around 20,000 euros. And yet the feeling they leave behind is completely different. And maybe the most important takeaway from today is not which one is the better deal. Maybe the real question is what you are actually buying. Are you buying a home to live in, or are you buying a home that you will have to carry on your back? A lot of older viewers, especially those in the United States, the United Kingdom, or Canada, are used to the idea that owning property always comes with pressure: a high down payment, high taxes, high running costs. And every time the cost of living rises, the entire plan has to be recalculated. So when you hear the number 20,000 euros, the first reaction is usually doubt. It sounds unreal. It sounds incomplete. It sounds like there must be a catch somewhere. But in Italy, especially outside the major growth corridors and away from large urban centers, lower prices are not always hiding something dark. Sometimes they reflect very practical realities. The location is not in a booming city center. The local rhythm is slower. In some areas, the population is aging or shrinking. And most importantly, the price often reflects the real condition of the property. An energy rating of Class G is not a small detail. It is one of the reasons the price can drop. Homes like these usually require buyers to look at the total cost, not just the purchase price. If we stay realistic though, both properties we saw today offer something worth thinking about. Of course they are not perfect. A pellet stove means you need to understand maintenance and how to operate it properly. An apartment that needs interior updates requires a clear renovation plan. Technical documentation and legal procedures are not things you just glance at. They determine whether you can truly feel secure. And if you are buying from abroad, language barriers and reliance on local professionals are always part of the journey. But the value lies somewhere else. It lies in the possibility of building a long-term life without paying an overwhelming psychological price. Try to imagine a normal morning after everything is settled. You open the balcony door. You do not hear traffic. You hear wind. You hear the town waking up. You walk out to buy a few simple things, stop by a small cafe, then return home. No rush, no pressure to justify every minute. Just living, and living a little lighter. So the final question I want to leave you with is not which apartment you would choose. It is what kind of person you are. Do you want a place to return to from time to time? Or do you want a place where you can truly slow down? Are you willing to renovate step by step? And can you see yourself fitting into this kind of life? If you would like, leave a comment and tell me which setting felt closer to you today: the mountain atmosphere of Pessinetto or the lakeside region of Lesa, and why. I read every response. Sometimes it is your stories that make this journey feel more real than the properties on the screen. Thank you for watching until the end. If this perspective helps you see European real estate more clearly and more calmly, you can subscribe and continue the journey with us. In the next video, we will open another door somewhere in Europe. No big promises, no rushing, just trying to see clearly and live a little lighter.